العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. To everyone here, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we cover Surah Naml and Surah Qasas. And Surah Naml is a surah where Allah Azza wa Jal, He starts off talking about a little bit about Musa alayhi salatu salam and what happened with in his time. And one key thing Allah says about Pharaoh is, Allah says, وَجَحَدُوا بِهَا وَاسْتَيْقَنَتْهَا أَنفُسُهُمْ ظُلْمًا وَعُلُوًّا. Allah says that they denied my verses. They denied them while they were fully convinced that my signs were true. Why did they deny them? Allah says, ظُلْمًا وَعُلُوًّا. It was because they wanted to, they got a kick out of being cruel, oppressing people, remaining above others, staying in power, doing what they wanted to do. And in human nature, when humans they cause cruelty or they oppress people for the first time, it does hurt the human. But once the human does it over and over again, they kind of get used to it, and then it actually becomes like a game for them. So for Pharaoh to kill people, to kill whoever he wanted at will, became a kind of a thing that he enjoyed with his people. So there are people who will have the truth in their heart, yet they will deny. Allah Azza wa Jalla talks about thereafter the story of Dawood and Sulaiman alayhim salatu salam. Both of them, Allah gave them many, many gifts. And one of the gifts He gave them was they knew mantiq al-tayr, they knew, subhanAllah, how to speak directly with birds. And Sulaiman alayhi salatu salam, directly he could understand what the ants were saying. So from this we understand that the animal kingdom, they have their own languages between them. And Sulaiman alayhi salam was given the ability to understand that directly. And there is a depiction of Sulaiman alayhi salam coming with his army. And as he's coming, the queen ant tells all the other ants, quickly get into the holes, get into shelter, lest Sulaiman and his army, they crush you without realizing what they did. And imagine the whole army is moving, and as it's moving, Allah gave the ability to Sulaiman alayhi salam to listen to that queen ant on the ground. And Sulaiman alayhi salam stopped, and he has a conversation with he hears what the ant says. Now, subhanAllah, as soon as he hears what the ant says, straight away he turns to Allah Azza wa Jalla and he makes a dua that Allah continues the gifts that Allah has given to him. Now this is something for us to learn, which is any gift Allah has given us, continuously thank Allah. Allah loves it, and Allah will continue to keep those gifts with yourself, and He will increase you in those gifts. And straight away Sulaiman alayhi salam makes dua for his parents, make dua for the fact that he inherited all of this and he got all of this because of what his father was before him and what he has become now. And why did he do that? Because he realized that if it wasn't for the ant on the ground, see, sometimes we don't realize, if it wasn't for the ant on the ground, his whole kingdom, the kingdom of Sulaiman alayhi salam, wouldn't be there. Why? Because the kingdom of the ant, which is very small, which is very insignificant, it is part of the ecosystem that actually keeps the wider world continuing. We know this from science today. If it wasn't for the bees, if it wasn't for the ants, if it wasn't for some of the smallest insects in the world, actually the whole world would actually collapse. Because one thing has an effect on nothing and has an effect on nothing. In the end, it would actually corrupt our whole system on this earth. And Sulaiman alayhi salam, he realizes that such a great gift Allah has given with all these creatures on the earth that are doing their bit, and it actually has an effect on us being who we are on this earth. Now he has a hoopoe bird that flies and he doesn't see it for some time, and then he sees the bird after a while, but he said if the bird has gone absent, now imagine this, he's talking to the birds directly. So he said if the bird has gone absent without a reason, then he's going to have to punish the bird. The bird comes back and says, "Oh Sulaiman," he says, "I have come across a kingdom that you're not aware of." Now don't forget, when Sulaiman was king, then at that time there was nobody else in the whole of that region, the whole of where civilization was. Nobody else had any kingdom. So he was surprised that there was another kingdom, and the hoop bird tells him that it is in the southern part of sort of Yemen, and there is a queen there, she's Queen Sheba, or Bilqis as we know her, and she has got a kingdom, but they worship the sun. So then Sulaiman alayhi salam, he sends a letter to her, and with that letter, she first summons her people and asks, do we fight? And they said, look, let's fight, let's fight up. We're not going to be taken over by another kingdom. But then she says, let me send him a gift. So she sends the gift, and when the gift comes to Sulaiman alayhi salam, she's testing him to see what he does. He says, look, I'm not interested in your gift. He said, if you don't come to me right now, I'm going to completely take over your kingdom, take over all your people. She tested him. Why? Because if he's a true prophet, then he wouldn't take the gift. He wouldn't be interested in taking gifts and then making some kind of truce with people. So or basically not wanting to give his da'wah. So as she now is making her way towards him, he sends straight away. He has his sitting, and in his sitting he says, "Man ya'tini bi'arshiha qabla an ya'tuni muslimin." Who's gonna bring her throne to me? Who's gonna bring her throne from Yemen to me here? He's obviously somewhere near Jerusalem. Who's gonna bring that to me? Within an instant. So straight away there is a jinn that stands up and says that I can bring it to you before this gathering finishes. And then the Quran says, وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ, the one who had the knowledge stood up, whoever that was. There's different tafsirs in the tafsir. Some say it was a very experienced one who's very close to Allah Azza wa Jal, and he's the one who was given the ilm. And he says, I will bring it to you before you can blink your eye. And before Sulaiman alayhi salam can blink, the next one, the whole arsh the throne from Yemen has been brought all the way to Jerusalem. And then he says straight away, he says, لِيَبْلُوَنِي أَأَشْكُرُ أَمْ أَكْفُرُ. He says, look how Allah has gifted me and He's giving me so much. Allah is testing me to see whether I actually thank Him or whether I am unthankful to Him. So he thanks Allah Azza wa Jalla. And when Bilqis comes, they decorate the throne and he shows her his power. When Bilqis comes, he says, is this your throne? She looks at it, she goes, كَأَنَّهُ هُوَ. She says, it looks like it is my throne. She's shocked. How did they bring the throne from there to here now? SubhanAllah, some of us sitting here don't believe in His powers. This is the Quran. This is not any da'if hadith or whatever. This is the Quran talking about how some of these, whatever creatures they were, or whatever, jinn or whatever, species they were, they managed to bring that whole throne from Yemen all the way to Jerusalem within a blink of an eye. طرفة عين, the Quran says. So we believe in these things. Now, he puts a test, he makes a test for her, a beautiful test he made for her. And look how smart he is, how intelligent he is. What he did is he gave her a tour of his palace. And they came into this large big hall. And what he had done is, Sulaiman alayhi salam put water underneath, and above the water he put glass. And then he told her to enter the chamber. She entered the chamber, she looked down, and she saw water because the glass was so clear she couldn't see the glass. So she lifted the garment slightly just to put her foot onto the water, and suddenly her foot hit glass, and it didn't even touch the water. And straight away she said the shahada. She said, I believe in Allah, Aslamtu ma'a Sulaiman lillahi rabbil alameen. I also submit to the very Allah that Sulaiman has submitted to. Now, the key question is, how did she come to that realization from this test? And the answer is, what Sulaiman did is, he made the water which is visible on the ground, then he made an invisible glass. It's a glass, but because it's so clean, you can't see the glass. She straight away realized when her foot touched the glass, that she is worshipping the sun that she can see. Just like the water she's seeing on the ground, she's reacting to what she's seeing. She's reacting in the sky to what she's seeing, and according to that, she's worshipping the sun. But what she didn't see is, there is an invisible God between her and the sun. There is something which she can't see, and because she can't see it, she never believed in it. Just like the glass, she couldn't see it, she didn't believe in it, she thought it was water, and she lifted the garment to put her foot on there. So what this shows us is, subhanAllah, not all seeing is believing. In the schools they teach the kids, they say, oh, seeing is believing. If you haven't seen God, then God doesn't exist. If you haven't seen people come from life after death, come back to this earth, then life after death doesn't exist. That's what they teach you in these schools. What the Quran is teaching us is, subhanAllah, well, some things we don't see it, but we believe it that it's there. And that is part of that is our faith in Islam. Now, Surah Qasas, subhanAllah, is a beautiful surah. Now this surah straight away gets into the background of how Musa alayhi salam became a prophet. How he was right from his birth, when his mother was actually fearing what's going to happen because Pharaoh had given an ultimate. He said, every year now I'm going to kill all the baby boys that are born. Why? Because Pharaoh saw this dream, and the sorcerers that interpreted his dream, they said there's going to be a child born from the Banu Israel who's going to completely ruin your kingdom. So Pharaoh straight away gave an order. He said, from all the Banu Israel, every boy that is born, he said, kill every single boy. As soon as he's born, you find him, just kill him. Then his soldiers came back, they said, oh Pharaoh, he said, how are we going to get workers from the Banu Israel? If you're going to kill all the boys, there's going to be no more men left to work for us. So he said, okay, he said, 1 year you kill them, next year you don't kill them, next year you kill them, next year you don't kill them. That was his order. Musa alayhi salam's mother is pregnant with him, and she's fearing when she's going to give birth and what's going to happen when the soldiers come. And Musa alayhi salam was born in the year when the boy is supposed to be killed. So now she's absolutely fearful. Allah put something in her heart. He says, Irdi'ihi, Allah says, give him the milk. La takhaf, Allah says, don't fear. Now Allah's still saying, He's saying that I put this in her heart, though her heart was fearing what's going to happen. Allah says, فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ. Allah says that when you really get very, very scared, Allah put into your heart, just put it into the basket, put the baby in the basket, put the basket into the river. Just throw it. And then everything will be fine. I will give you back your baby. She just had this feeling, the soldiers were coming, she just did it. She just put a baby into the basket, she put the basket in the water. They came and checked, they couldn't find the baby. That basket went all the way up to a certain tree, got caught there. At that very moment, look how Allah works. At that very moment, Pharaoh and Asya, both of them are walking on the river bank. And they hear a baby crying, and they see this baby, and Asya, don't forget, Asya is a believer. She's a believer, she's one of those believing women mentioned in the Quran, and her mention comes in Surah Tahrim. She inshallah, you know what she said to Allah? She said, Rabbi ibni li indaka baytan. She said, oh Allah, give me a house next to you in Jannah. This is her dua in the Quran, Surah Tahrim. She's a very, very pious woman. But she's married to the biggest zalim, the biggest oppressor in all time. At all time. So now, subhanAllah, she says, don't kill this baby, please don't, we don't have a child. Let's just tell everyone this was our child, it's a newborn child. You can pretend it's our child. Please don't. And then he took the bait. He said, okay, fine. Now subhanAllah, they took the child into the palace. Now this child was causing havoc for them. This child would not stop crying. It's crying and crying. Newborn child when it cries, subhanAllah, the whole palace is echoing with his cry. Now he said, Pharaoh says, bring the women who will feed this child. So they bring the breastfeeding women. Now each woman gives the milk, but the Musa alayhi salam refuses. He refuses. Not a single woman's milk he takes. Now this is all Allah doing this. SubhanAllah, look how Allah works. If Allah wants to make victory come, guys, He will work in the most mysterious way. We won't even be able to plan this. So what has happened in the background? Musa's mother was fearing what's going to happen with the child. So when the soldiers went, she said to her daughter, this is Musa's older sister, she said, she said to her daughter, hey, quickly, watch the basket, just follow it, see where it goes. Her daughter quickly in the background, in the bushes, she starts seeing where the basket is going. And then she realizes Pharaoh picks it up. Then she follows it all the way into the palace. And now she's standing there watching all these women giving milk. And Musa is not taking the milk of anyone. So the daughter, she's only about 9 years old. She says, can I suggest that I know a woman, if she gives her milk to this baby, no baby refuses her milk. And Pharaoh is absolutely livid now. He's saying, get any woman you can, give the milk to this baby. I don't want to hear this baby cry anymore. At that moment when she spoke, he said, don't bring her. She goes quickly home. She says, Mom, come to the palace. So now his mom, Musa's mom, comes into the palace. As soon as she gives milk, Musa's son drinks it. And Pharaoh is not happy. He says, okay, he said, you come in here every day now. Allah. The mother that was fearing her child, Allah put it such that the zalim, the enemy, is now paying their mother to
feed the baby that's going to destroy his kingdom. Allahu Akbar. I mean, look at this, is amazing. Now she's getting paid to do this every day. She says, you come here, I'm going to give you a salary. Just feed this baby. Now the Quran then says how Musa alayhi salam grew up, and then after he grows up, we're passing by all these verses today, by the way. He grows up, he's about 20 years old, and he sees the dhulm, he sees the oppression that the Pharaoh people are doing with Banu Israel. So one day there's an argument between a member of Banu Israel and one of the Coptics, and Musa alayhi salam gets into an argument. And what happens is, Musa alayhi salam wants to, keep up the justice, and with his hand, because he knows the Coptic, who's part of the Pharaoh's men, he knows that he's the one oppressing. So Musa alayhi salam, فَوَكَّزَهُ, Musa alayhi salam gets his hand like this, he punches him straight in the chest. And with that one punch, this guy dies. Allahu Akbar. He just died. There was no intention to kill him. Now Musa alayhi salam quickly, get rid of the body, whatever. But then the news has gone around, someone's killed one of the Coptics. And by the next day, it's already spread, because the same guy that he tried to avenge, the same guy's in another argument, and he says, hey, what are you going to do? You want to kill again just like you killed yesterday? And now the news is spread, and Musa alayhi salam, subhanAllah, now Musa doesn't know that Pharaoh is going to send his people to kill him. And what happens is, look at this, look how Allah works. وَقَالَ رَجُلٌ وَجَاءَ رَجُلٌ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ. From the outskirts of Egypt, one man who comes running into the city. Comes right up to Musa and says, oh Musa, إِنَّ الْمَلَأَ يَأْتَمِرُونَ بِكَ. The whole army of Pharaoh, they're going to kill you. The council are talking about you. You better run. So Musa runs. And the whole story is there that he runs away from there. He goes to a place called Madyan in the Middle East. There he finds two women that are trying to give water to their sheep. And they're not able to do this. They're staying in the back of the flock, back of the whole queue. And then Musa alayhi salam, then in the end he gives them, he gives them water from the well, because it's only men in front of these two women. And then he subhanAllah, he asked, why is it that you women are here? They said, oh, we've got an old father, he can't come out, so we just us two sisters, and we have to wait till the men do this. Anyhow, long story short, Musa alayhi salam is under a tree, he's making dua to Allah, Allah give me some refuge. These two women come home early. Their father says, how come you came home early? They said, there was a man that gave the water, and he calls for Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam comes straight away, subhanAllah. Within moments, I haven't got time to go into the details. Within moments, this man now becomes the father-in-law of Musa alayhi salam, and he marries one of those women. He stays there for about 8 to 10 years. He looks after sheep. Then Allah tells him, go to Pharaoh and now deliver the message. Now the whole focus is on what happens when he comes and delivers the message. Now subhanAllah, Pharaoh is the politician. Pharaoh has got a mala, he's got a council with him. Now remember all these things I'm telling you, because they haven't changed. They're the same things that are happening today, they're the same things happening for thousands of years. Pharaoh is the main politician, he's the face of the politics. Behind him he has a council. The council tell him what to do, and he listens to them. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3 is Pharaoh has an architect. This architect is not Haman. He's the guy that makes the big monument structures in Egypt. And with these monumental structures, the whole of Egypt looks like the greatest civilization on earth. Number 4 is he has a Qarun. Qarun is the financial system of Pharaoh. Qarun is like the billionaire of the time. He's the one financing Pharaoh and his kingdom. Today, exactly the same thing. You'll have certain governments, you'll have certain people behind the governments that tell them what to do. We don't really know who they are, but they'll tell them what to do. And then you'll have, the civilization and the structures of these wonderful structures in their cities and in their capitals and so on. And then you have the banking system, the financial system, and they're the ones that are backing them from behind. With all of these, they manage to control people. And Pharaoh said to Haman, make such a long structure, big structure. I want to stand up there at the highest point, and I want to see where Musa alayhi salam Lord is. He made fool of his people. And as for Qarun, subhanAllah, right at the end of Surah Qasas, Allah talks about how he came back mighty and powerful in front of all of his people. He had so much wealth, a whole group of people had to just be there just to carry the keys to his treasure. And he came out in front of everyone on Allah, in front of everyone. As he was in his prime time in front of everyone, Allah opened the earth. Allah says, فَخَسَفْنَا بِهِ وَبِدَارِهِ الْأَرْضِ. I swallowed Qarun, and I swallowed all his horses, I swallowed all his men, all his treasures, everything in the ground. And the people that were looking, yesterday they were saying, oh, how much money has this guy got? How wealthy he is? They said, وَيْكَأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْسُطُ الرِّزْقَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيَقْدِرُ. They said it's only Allah that expands wealth and it decreases wealth. And that's what our iman should be with Allah. Because all this wealth we're seeing, with everything going on, none of it's going to last. And all these things are happening, it will all come to an end. In the end, only Islam will prevail. Jazakumullah.